Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel Offensive Wingers, where the magic is happening. That's what we'll speak about in today's video, because on top of big names a la Sancho, this morning we need to add Adeyemi from Borussia Dortmund and Madueke from Chelsea. Big names for a Juventus that is thinking about a 4-2-3-1. And speaking about that 4-2-3-1, well, we will not speak only about offensive wingers, but also about these guys there behind me. Yildiz that is playing in that 4-2-3-1, but also an Adrian Rabiot that yesterday played in a 4-2-3-1. What did he do yesterday? Did he do well? Did he or not? Maybe a small recap about the Juventini at Euro 2024. If you're ready, put a maximum of like. Don't forget to continue to support the channel by commenting the video, by sharing the channel, but also, of course, by subscribing. Because now we start with one of them, with the number 15, because he finished on the big page of Tuttosport today. Brivido Yildiz, thrilling suspense. We can't wait to see Kenan Yildiz performing this evening with his nation. Turkey against Georgia of Kvaratskhelia. Yesterday, disaster. Napoli, Kvaratskhelia. Anyway, what a disaster. But that's something else. What about Kenan Yildiz? We are curious to see who could possibly be one of the pillars of Juventus 24-25, especially offensively. A player that is clear for everyone since long time now. It is not on the market. He's probably the only player that is, for 24-25 campaign, untouchable, where Juventus really want to build with. I'm not telling you the center of the project, but an important piece in terms of marketing, in terms of on the field, in terms of the possibilities, the prospect that he is, the potential that he has, Kenan Yildiz. Now, of course, we are curious to see this evening Turkey against Georgia for our number 15, but there is someone else that is also curious and that will study him. It is Thiago Motta, not because he doesn't know the player, of course, but he wants to understand where Vincenzo Montella will play him, how he will play, but more than the role on the field in that 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, for Thiago Motta, we know already now that for him, the roles are important, yes, but even more important, what you do into that role. What are the tasks that you are doing? What can he ask from Yildiz in that 4-2-3-1? And today, he wants to study him even closer to understand what task he will give him for 24-25. About the performance of Yildiz, of course, we'll come back on that tomorrow. And by the way, tomorrow, all our Juventini would have played or not played, but at least the nation would have played at least one game. And we'll do a ranking of the 10 players. Yeah, I said 10 because I want to add also Milik that is injured. The 10 players that would have been called up for Euro 2024, who performed the best after match day 1, who didn't perform at all. Of course, you will know that Milik unfortunately not there, and then there are some players that didn't play at the moment. But a beautiful ranking, and then game by game we will add them and we'll do that kind of power ranking. Anyway, speaking about the other shirt that I have here behind me, the number 25 of Adrien Rabiot, that with l'équipe de France is playing with the number 14. That was also the shirt of Didier Deschamps, his coach. Guys, I know Adrian Rabiot is a big debate. It's one of the most controversial persons of Juventus that we are speaking about. You have the pro Rabiot, you have the against Rabiot. There are so many arguments that we can say pro and against. And probably both are right. It's not that one is wrong, that one is right. Me, personally, if I'm doing a column with plus, a column with mine, at the end, if I put a sum of all of that, I'm going for pro. Keeping Adrien Rabiot, renewing Adrien Rabiot. If you're still not convinced about Adrien Rabiot, with all what we said about the financial part, about this, guys, watch the game of France yesterday, especially the first 45 minutes of France yesterday. And if you are doubting still, please go under French post, the big accounts that are speaking about l'équipe de France, and read the comments of non-Juventini. People that are supporting, I don't know, Paris Saint-Germain, Manchester United, whatever other team that is not Serie A team. People that have no real opinion at the moment of Adrien Rabiot. The comments of yesterday under the post from really Frenchmen that were watching their national team, so they are really supporting, they were all in favor of Adrien Rabiot. They were saying it was incredible. You had two parts, You had the accounts of fans that were saying it is not normal. How is it possible to start Adrien Rabiot over a Camavinga? A lot of people, they didn't understand why Rabiot, why not Camavinga? And then watch after 45 minutes, the comments of the people that totally changed. What a guy, what a performance, what a top performance. I tell you, yesterday, the first 45 minutes of Adrien Rabiot were incredible. If you're looking at that 4 4-2-3-1. And if you are playing with Mbappe, Thuram, Griezmann, Dembele, but on top of that also Hernandez, that is one that is really going up a lot, it is impossible to keep a stability on these players. Yesterday they won 1-0 against a really solid, really strong Austria. Pay attention to them because yesterday they played really well and they were able to block for long parts of the game de l'Équipe de France. That didn't play bad at all, but the performance of our number 25 was fantastic in that first half. He was there with fantastic penetration with the ball, entering these spaces. A bit what Thiago Motta is asking. He did it a few times. Then a few passes. That pass for Mbappe that is finishing in front of the goalkeeper, 1-on-1, then he missed. But that pass is just incredible. Not only that, also there should be a Rabiot cam. A Rabiot cam to understand what he's doing off the ball. So when the ball is to someone else, incredible. He was there every time studying what was happening and always taking the right position. If Hernandez Theo was going up, he was waiting a bit. When there were gaps on the right side, he was filling that right side of the gap, but also paying attention that there was not a gap on the left. It was just beautiful to see. Why am I speaking about those 45 first minutes? Because you know that Adrien didn't play the first and the second friendly of France because of a small injury. The day before the game, he was again touched a bit on that calf and he was not at 100%. The question of the Frenchman were, will he be able to play at least one half? Does he have minutes? Well, yesterday we have a beautiful answer. He could play on the field 70 minutes. Of course, in that second half, he dropped a bit of energy and Didier Deschamps, really smart, he took him off to keep him for the next following games. Better because they already won 1-0 and the 3 points were extremely important. Again, a strong Austria, I want to repeat it. And then you have, of course, that N'Golo Kante next to him that did a fantastic game. Totally deserved, beautiful game for him and also MVP of the game of yesterday. Kante was really, really strong. What a player. What a player. Looks like he never left l'Équipe de France or Europe and he's still playing at that high level. But now, if we are looking at l'Équipe de France, 4-2-3-1, I see perfectly a Rabiot next to a Douglas Luiz, with on top of that some other players that we will speak about in a second. But of course, Douglas Luiz at the moment didn't sign. And yesterday, from Sky Sport, there were these big voices where Weston McKennie is stopping at the moment that deal to go through. Stopping. No, guys. I know that we are living in an era where everything needs to go really fast, that we are impatient. We want a name today on the paper. Tomorrow he needs already to sign and he needs already to be at J Medical to do the physical test. Calma, calma. We already explained it since a few days. I am at the moment absolutely not worried. There are too many parts involved. 4 players plus cash. And if everything is already agreed on the part of Douglas Luiz, Juve, but also Juve Aston Villa for that player, if everything is already agreed since yesterday or 2 days ago with Ealing Jr., Juve and Aston Villa, we are just missing the few things of Weston McKennie. I already told you, it's not Weston McKennie as Aston Villa that is thinking, should I go there or not? No, he already agreed with Aston Villa. He's just fixing the last details with Juventus about the bonus sheet. That means a bonus on the an exit bonus. I already explained to you in the last few days. So just waiting for that. It takes time. It is totally normal. We know that we have a deadline for Aston Villa that is the 30th of June. Guys, we are on the 18th, which means that we still have 12 days. Players are at the moment, especially these two, they are preparing for Copa America, one with USA, one with Brazil. Calma, calma, calma. More than a block, I think that I can tell you. And then we receive reassurance from Alfredo Pedula, Fabrizio Romano, Romeo Agresti. At the moment, just taking a few time. And it's totally normal when we're speaking about million, when we're speaking about 4 players involved with that fourth one, of course, Alisha Lehmann. So tranquilli. I can see already a 4-2-3-1 with Douglas Luiz, waiting, of course, for Adrien Rabiot. But then speaking about who can play up front, well, Yildiz will be untouchable. Vlahovic, at 95%, will be the striker, the number 9 of Juventus. Behind him, we are looking for Koopmeiners. Koopmeiners is the target that we want to go for from the moment that we signed Douglas Luiz, and we understand about Rabiot, yes or not. If for Rabiot, if at the end there is no extension, we are still looking for Fofana from Monaco and Kefren Thuram from Nice. What about that number 10 position? If number 10, it's a strange number 10, let's say, an offensive midfielders. If Koopmeiners can't be there, well, the name that is in the head of Juventus is still a Samardzic that would be much cheaper and has, even if not the same qualities, well, it's a player that can play in that role. So Samardzic is not yet at the moment a no deal. On the right side, well, Weah will play more offensively this season. He will be tested in that 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1 on that right side, but will not be a starter because Juventus, if Federico Chiesa will be sold, there are a lot of names. Sancho is the first one. By Gazzetta dello Sport, that changed after Greenwood, they are going for Sancho, but also from Tutto Sport. But there are more names than Sancho. If we already told you all the details in the recent video, well, the new name is Madueke from Chelsea. Young player that is 22. At the moment, is not receiving enough playing time from Chelsea. They could put, because we know at Chelsea they have like 60 players in their roster. They need to cash in, they need to sell. Well, Juventus could potentially go for the player. At the moment we are in early stage. I will give you the percentage in a second. But then you see on Gazzetta dello Sport another name, confirmed also by Nico Schiera on Tutto Sport. So it's already 2 pages that are speaking about Adeyemi. A player that I know could potentially also be controversial for people that watch only the Champions League final with all the missed opportunity, because he missed a lot, but he's a player, I can tell you, with my son, we watched a few Borussia Dortmund games this season. Fantastic player. Fantastic player. He's 22 as well, young player as well. Could he possibly go there? People will say, Beppe, it's impossible. Well, pay attention, because Dortmund, we know it, and we already told you since long time, they are on Huijsen. They want to go for Huijsen. And also they are interested in Soler. So there is a possibility for a margin there. And on top of that, I can tell you that if Sancho is a target of Juventus, well, Dortmund, they also want Sancho, but they can't cash in. So cashing in, selling Adeyemi to Juventus, and cashing in, taking money, they could possibly try to go for a Huijsen and a Soler, or maybe a Huijsen and then a Sancho, finding a better deal with Manchester United. So it is something that is possible. Then there are other names as well, like Corriere dello Sport. Thiago Motta wants Salamakers. We already told you a few days ago that Salamakers would have finished on the papers. It's now the second time that he's finishing there. Bologna is not extending or signing permanently Salamakers, which means that he's again a Milan player. Milan has no intention to keep him. For 7-8 million euro, it could be a potential option for Juventus. So now I want to go towards that power ranking. I don't know if it's a great name, that power ranking, but a ranking of the players. If you're speaking about offensive wingers for Juve, where are we? You see all of them. Well, a lot of names. We have already 10 players that were linked to Juventus in the transfer market. Why 10 players? Of course, because we know it that Soler and Federico Chiesa could potentially leave, and we need reinforcements in this position. Sancho is at the moment the one that is the most hot. But I gave it personally, that's my understanding, a 30% of chances, because it's really complicated for the salary, for Manchester United request, for Dortmund that is pressing to have him, but it's at the moment the most hot name. Behind him, we have 2 players at 25%, which I believe that could possibly happen. Zegrova from Lille and Adeyemi. Zegrova, a bit cheaper, already said that he wants to leave, but then also Adeyemi I believe in. Why? Because I already told you, there are a lot of links between Manchester United, Juventus and Dortmund. Behind them, Salamakers. Yeah. Because at the end, if we are not able to sell a lot of players, if we are not able to cash in, a player needs to come. And if you have a Salamakers as a big opportunity for a real cheap that already played with Thiago Motta, pay attention to Salamakers. Behind them, Greenwood, that I only give a 15%. According to me, Greenwood will not join Juventus. I already said it multiple times. So why a 15%? Because if all the deals are collapsing, if at the end nobody is going for Greenwood, and Manchester United in the last day of transfer market, they are still not able to loan him out, to sell him out, to cash in what they want to request, maybe the request of Manchester United could flop and could totally collapse, giving him again in the same deal that they did for Getafe for a really, really cheap. And I can tell you that if at that moment Juventus still didn't find the offensive winger that they want, could possibly come back on a Greenwood. So I leave the door open, even if I say he will not join. A Soler and also a Savio there at 15%, because Soler will leave. We know it. He will bring a lot of cash to Juventus. Why a Savinho from Girona is a player that I put there really low at 15% because it's really complicated with Girona, Troyes, Manchester City that are all in the same group and they are asking for 50 million euro. I don't know. Even if, pay attention, because Girona, the Spanish club, they asked information from Huijsen since yesterday night. There is Girona that are there, and if we know that Huijsen feel himself as a Spanish and not as a Dutch one in terms of citizenship, you never know, huh? You never know. Pay attention to Savinho in that deal, Huijsen, Manchester, because they know it. Huh? If they sign Huijsen with Girona, he's in the group already of Manchester City for in the future, go to Premier League. Think about that one. Madueke, at the moment, it's a player that I really put there with a 10% of chances. It's just a name there. Wimmer, that I watched yesterday with Austria, was not bad at all. It was a player that I didn't really follow this year, but yesterday, the few minutes that he played, he impressed me, but I think also there, it's an opportunity that is really low in that ranking. And then the last name, Luiz Enrique, I've put there only a 5% of chances. Why? Because he's Brazilian. And if we know that Douglas Luiz and already Adrien will join Juve and will close these possible open slots, it's over. It is just impossible. The only 5% why. If Douglas Luiz collapse, I hope not, then you have still a possibility to go for an extra European player. Now, that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed that ranking. If you want more of these kind of updates towards the Mercato, also for other positions, etc., let me know. Thank you for following the channel. Grazie, forza, Juve.